So let's take a look at the Turf Monster. And this is the first leg of an all stakes pick five that's anchored by the Pennsylvania Derby. It's called the Philly Big Five. It's races 10 through 14, and this is the first leg. It's a grade three, the race, 10th race, run 5 furlongs on the turf for 3-year-olds and up. And we take a look at this field, and for a grade three, I mean, it's you got a few that are probably a little borderline for graded stakes, but we do have a Smooth B, who's an old hard knocker, 9-year-old, been running a long time, just came up with a decent win last time. We've got Super Quest from Mark Casse. Can't underestimate anything he's throwing out there right now. It's not Canada, but given what he did at Saratoga, I think we got to take him seriously. Jean Valjean has been a completely new horse since moving to the turf, and has really been pretty impressive, racking up 3 solid performances. Alagon, who's a graded stakes performer, coming off a win as well, and we've seen most notably at Monmouth quite a bit. And so it's a pretty decent field. Boats of Rockins, another one who's an older hard knocker. And we take a look at this at the groupings here, and you see there's a lot of early runners. That's no surprise in a 5-furlong turf sprint. Of those, I think Jean Valjean is certainly intriguing. He's just been, like I say, 3 turf races, and he's really been very impressive. This will be a little bit of a step up. He's faced a lot of these before, so it's a lot. In fact, you can say that with quite a few runners in here. It's very familiar company. They faced each other numerous times. The real question I have with Jean Valjean is the step up in class, and he has been in races where he hasn't faced quite this many who will pressure him from the get-go. And I did note that his late fraction tends to be a little lighter than some of the others. And so moving up in class, I think he's certainly a horse we have to keep an eye on. But I just think there's others who probably can withstand the cavalry charge early. And I think he's one you can use, but I like others a little bit better. Of the front runners, Talented Man to me makes a lot of sense. He's coming back to turf, a distance that he really likes, and what I liked about him in particular is when he goes to turf, his late fraction, particularly at 5 furlongs, is very strong, and he does have some stamina. He's able to run on dirt, run longer sprints on dirt, and I think that might be a big help here. So I like Talented Man quite a bit in this spot. Super Quest, certainly from Mark Casse. If this was at Saratoga, I'd like him a little bit more, where he's been a very solid performer. But nonetheless, he does have the back class to be competitive here. And I think I wonder about running in a race with quite so much added pace pressure, if that might sap him just a little bit. I think he could probably rate a little bit off of him if he needs to, and that would be probably a more favorable trip, I think. But I just didn't like him quite as much. He does have a tendency to wilt in some of the classier races that he runs in. But in here, again, for Mark Casse's, Barnes just going too well to be ignored. I think Super Quest is certainly a win candidate in here. I settled on Alagon, and really more than anything else, the reason being is that he will be coming from off the pace. He's in very good form. He just posted a career-high speed figure, but he's only 5 years old, and that doesn't give me quite as much pause as if he was, 6 or 7. And so he's just in really good form. I think the race will probably set up pretty well for him, and he's one of the classier, if not the classiest, in this race. So I think Alagon is a logical pick in here. Senbei, haven't really liked what I've seen from him in his last start. His speed figures have been decreasing steadily. yet he did post a win 2 back. He'll certainly have pace to run to here. He probably was compromised a little bit because he had to run a little closer in the last race that was won by Smithwick at 25 to 1. And I think that was more, it seemed to be more of a race where you got a lot of, nothing better, and a couple others were probably a little vulnerable. And Senbei, being a small field, he had to run a little closer than perhaps he wants to. So, with pace to run to here, being able to take back a little bit more probably sets up pretty well for him. But I'd like to see him just in a little bit better form, particularly speed figure wise. So I think underneath is where he likely will factor. We take a look at our betting strategy here. I'm going to go with Allegan. And this is done on Monday, so we don't have the odds yet. But I think he is. I think he's just a good class fit, and I think he'll have an ideal scenario for him. Just sitting off the pace, he should be able to close this one out. But I also like Talented Man. I don't think he can be underestimated. Coming back to turf, and particularly that later fraction, I think he can hang in there longer than perhaps some of these others. So we'll do a 6-5 cold exacta, and then we'll box Talented Man in Allegan. And then we'll do another saver exacta key with the 6 on top with 3, 4, and 8. And so if we get 5 and 6 home, we double up. And hopefully, if we can get Allegan on top. For trifecta, we'll do 6 on top with 3, 4, 5, and 8. And then we'll do a more precise one with 5, 6, 5, 6 with 3, 4, 8. And then we'll go 5, 6 with 3, 4, 8 with 5, 6. So those are the Talented Man and Allegan who we're going to lean on. Be on the lookout for individual stakes postings for each in the the Philly Big Five. And, of course, we'll have the Pennsylvania Derby and the Cotillion coming up. And those are the ones certainly we're all going to have our eyes on. So stay right here. I hope this helps you with your own wagering strategy. I wish you the best of luck as always. And I'll be talking to you soon. So until then, be well.